Joining us tonight on Live at 5, it's Samantha Chadwick. She is with Environment Minnesota, and Sam is a preservation advocate. Sam, let's take a moment now, if we could, to talk about the anniversary of BP's Deepwater Horizon oil spill, which was not long ago, the 6-month anniversary of that oil spill, which just terrified me, and we still don't know what this has done to our environment, do we?
No, I don't think that we know the full extent of the scientific problems that the sort of the ecology of the Gulf and the species that live there. Certainly, we don't know the effects that could be very long term, and we don't know the full economic impact of the livelihoods and the people that were impacted either.
That's true. That all of these surrounding circumstances that we will learn as time goes on, and we're still learning about the oil spill itself. I mean, just this past week or two, a scientist reporting that he's found a couple of inch thick slab of oil way down on the bottom of the Gulf, and it's miles long, I guess, and we don't know what it's doing to the bottom of the Gulf right now. It's just really horrifying.
Yeah, it was. And if you remember when it happened, we had celebrated Earth Day, I believe, that Tuesday, then 2 days later, an explosion killed, a handful of people even, and then, continued spilling for months and months.
Now, Environment Minnesota, and by the way, again, Samantha Chadwick is our guest, and she is a preservation advocate with Environment Minnesota. What are some of the things we've learned as far as you're concerned? Yeah,
I think there's a lot of lessons. I'll try and touch on a few. First, I think, we know that the way we use energy is bad for the environment and it's bad for public health, and this was one very good example of this. We have some of these sort of ticking time bombs out there. When the rig blew up, that was definitely an indication. The oil companies make huge promises. They make huge profits. They say this won't happen, and then it did. And then not only did this huge explosion occur, no one knew how to turn it off for months and months. That was really astounding to me.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it either.
Companies shouldn't be able to do this if they can't either stop it or clean it up. So the fact that now companies could start drilling again and doing this kind of dangerous deep water drilling is really too bad, because we still are not sure what went wrong 6 months ago. The administration hasn't fully completed their looking into this issue to make sure we can prevent it from happening.
So the Obama administration has approved the resumption of drilling in deep water, is that right?
Yeah, they lifted the moratorium that was put in place after the spill.
Okay.
And so none has started to my knowledge yet, but the process can begin again. There were a few more protections put in place, which is certainly good. I still feel that drilling for our energy dependence is just simply not going to work. We don't have it here. Fossil fuels are not the future, and we ought to just be switching the way that we're powering our country.
Did I hear that we're sending approximately $1 billion a day overseas for oil consumption here in the United States?
That sounds right. I've heard that before.
It
is a lot, and it's not something that we could solve by drilling here or in the Arctic or in the Gulf more. We simply just don't have the oil reserves. There's just not enough. We use so much energy every day.
Yeah. We'd
be better off looking for alternatives than putting our coasts at risk like we have.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be another lesson, is that we have to do more to protect these really sensitive coastal areas and our beaches and the oceans from this kind of devastation. So we would like to prevent any new offshore rigs where the industry is not already drilling. It's too dangerous.
Yeah, and as we look toward the future, we've got to work on clean energy ideas, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it seems simple to me.
Yeah.
We should just do way more solar, for example.
Sure.
People should be able to have solar panels on their roof and get some power right from home.
And
we could become way more energy efficient. You know, our buildings waste a lot of energy. We're driving inefficient cars. I mean, all that needs to just improve. We've got the technology, and I think people are interested in it. There's just still some barriers, and big interest invested in the status quo.
And it seems like Washington is, they're thinking about it, and they're doing things like putting out new regulations for trucks, as an example.
We finally have an increase in the expectation for the miles per gallon efficiency of cars and trucks.
But that's only a very little part of what we need to be doing overall, and we don't seem to be working very hard on it, do we?
Yeah, I think we're lacking some of the political will that we need from our leaders. But we know it's a pretty popular idea with, citizens and Minnesotans for sure, and the American people. I think people would be very interested in implementing more clean energy and producing more energy for themselves with solar and local wind nearby.
Yeah, and we can see that as an example in our community where the city of Willmar went ahead and purchased 2 wind turbines to supplement the power plant. And, they've experienced some problems, but it's a learning curve that we're all on. Mm-hmm. And when things are working good, it is a nice supplement to our older system where we need to be continually adding things like this. I was interested in driving across the state of Illinois a couple of weeks back on a family trip and seeing some very impressive wind farms out there on the flat plains of Illinois.
Yeah.
So they've apparently been doing a lot of work.
Yep, and if you drive south down 35 into Iowa, every time I drive down there, I have some family, there's more and more huge wind farms.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the interesting things is a lot of the wind farms being put up in our region are, owned or run, and some of the materials are produced in Europe or China. These countries are springing ahead of us because they are not, for example, still debating the issue of global warming and whether or not it's real. They're just debating how to move on.
How to use the right equipment and the equipment they've got, how to fix it and make it work.
So
right.
we're buying their wind turbines and all that. And
exactly.
That's great, but wouldn't it be better if we had people in our own state put to work, building and installing these and manufacturing and managing the companies and, because certainly we've got to find a way to jumpstart our economy in the state here.
Well, we've learned some lessons from the BP Deepwater Horizon oil spill, and I urge our listeners to log on to your website there at Environment Minnesota. It's simple. It's environmentminnesota.org. And Samantha Chadwick has been our guest today. Samantha, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be looking forward to talking to you again in the near future.
Okay, thanks so much. Thanks for having me on.